contest after his 10 years of service in the military to help inspire soldiers and veterans coping with injuries.
Invictus was inspired by the experiences I had alongside our servicemen and women from many nations.
So apparently, the CEO of the Invictus Games just told Prince Harry, and get this, you can come, but leave your wife at home. Can you believe that? The man who left his entire royal family for this woman is now being told by a sports organization CEO to come solo to his own event.
Project that Prince Harry has, the Invictus Games, the only thing that from start to finish is considered a success that people admire.
Meghan and Harry's most...
On stage, opening the same games where 5 years ago they announced their relationship.
Please welcome mine.
Where is the money, Harry?
Scott Moore basically sent Harry a text that probably read, "Hey buddy, you're invited to the party, but your +1 is causing too much drama. Maybe bring a nice fruit salad instead." Now, before we dive deeper into this royal mess, let's talk about what the Invictus Games actually are. These games were supposed to be Harry's one shining achievement, his golden ticket to proving he's more than just a spare heir who likes to party in Vegas.
Their unity.
When I talk to my son Archie about what he wants to be when he grows up, some days it's an astronaut, other days it's a pilot. But what I remind him is...
Behind closed doors, Invictus Games CEO Scott Moore is said to be deeply concerned.
The games are for wounded veterans, real heroes who've sacrificed everything for their countries. But somewhere between the noble cause and the Netflix cameras, things got a little complicated. Here's where it gets interesting, and by interesting, we mean absolutely bonkers. There's apparently £9.1 million missing from the Invictus Games budget. £9.1 million. You know what you can buy with £9.1 million? A small country. Or at least a really nice house in Montecito. Oh wait, someone already did that.
It's your character that matters most. And nothing would make his mum and me prouder than to see him have the character of what we see before us today. You.
Every time she shows up, the headlines change from honor and healing to...
Now, nobody's saying Harry took the money to fund his avocado toast addiction, but the silence is getting so loud. Even the Queen's corgis are starting to bark about it. The best part? Harry's response to these financial questions has been nothing. Complete radio silence. The man who wrote an entire book about his feelings suddenly has nothing to say about missing millions.
Yes, of course, highly competitive, but for those of people who are asking what was that all about, there was no one else that I can think of.
Then parried with another statement thanking him for all his service. Dominic Reed is a former soldier, so this is something that's very close to us.
It's the money.
It's like asking someone where they put your car keys and they start talking about their childhood trauma instead. But wait, there's more. Veterans, the actual people these games are supposed to help, are starting to speak up. One retired serviceman said, and we're paraphrasing here, "We believed in him, we thought he cared, but now it looks like he used our pain for photo ops." Ouch. When the people you're supposed to be helping start calling you out, you know you've messed up big time. It's like being a chef and having Gordon Ramsay tell you that your food is so bad, even the garbage disposal won't eat it.
Lindsay, a very, very good morning to you. Welcome.
Thanks, Mike. My team won, so it is a good morning.
You were going for the Philadelphia Eagles. Well done to you. Let's have a look, actually, quickly at Donald Trump's entrance to the Super Bowl, because I believe, this is amazing to me, apparently he's the first sitting president to actually attend the Super Bowl, which I read this morning. But let's have a look.
These veterans aren't just grumbling quietly either. They're organizing petitions, going to the media, basically doing everything short of staging a coup. And honestly, good for them. They gave their bodies for their countries, and now they're giving their voices for accountability. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should we say, the Duchess at the Games. Every time Meghan shows up to an Invictus event, the headlines shift faster than a Formula One race car. Instead of reading about inspiring veteran stories, we get Meghan's stunning outfit choice and Duchess's surprise speech steals show.
There, supposedly supporting the Kansas City Chiefs because he supposedly didn't like the Eagles, as last time they won the Super Bowl and he was president, they didn't come to the White House to pick up their award. And then he kind of switched sides halfway through and then left early.
Yeah, I imagine that they might actually visit this time around because the
woman has a talent for making everything about her that would make even the Kardashians jealous. At the 2022 Games in Netherlands, she decided to surprise everyone by reading a children's book. A children's book at a veteran sporting event. The audience was probably thinking, "Ma'am, these are grown adults who've seen combat, not toddlers at story time." But there she was, reading away while wounded warriors watched in confused silence.
Because the attitude towards Donald Trump is much different during this second term.
Yes.
Tiger Woods was hanging out with him hours before he jumped on a plane to come to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Celebrities and bigger personalities aren't as hesitant to be seen with him this time around.
Right. Isn't that interesting? And I should point out,
The internal emails from Invictus staff are comedy gold. One email reportedly said, "Her team is already asking for private media rooms, press control, and brand exposure opportunities. This isn't a red carpet, this is a veterans event." Another complained that Meghan's advisors pushed for coordinated coverage in American outlets, basically sidelining the actual veteran reporters.
And she stops because she's startled that somebody has grabbed her and is relocating her. And it's Meghan just taking it upon herself to adjust this woman for a photo. I have to tell you that so far is my favorite
Yes.
video from Invictus.
it is incredible. She made a little speech, of course, which we're hoping to play.
Because nothing says supporting our heroes like making sure US Weekly gets the exclusive scoop on your outfit choice. One staff member described watching Meghan literally grab and reposition a veteran for a better photo angle. Can you imagine? You're a decorated soldier, you've served your country with honor, and suddenly you're being moved around like a prop in someone's Instagram photo shoot. The audacity is so thick, you could cut it with a knife and serve it at tea time. But here's the kicker, Scott Moore, the CEO, apparently had enough. Word is he told Harry straight up, "You're welcome, but not with Meghan." The man basically gave Harry the royal equivalent of "it's me or her." And considering Harry chose her over his entire family, this puts him in quite the pickle.
And you're his family. And all I could think of was, well, she's obviously trying to say that he doesn't have a family because they're all horrible racists. They all live in England.
Or, if I'm your family, then I guess the countdown is on because you talk to no one from your family. So I better just bask in the glow of your temporary,
Yes.
kindness.
What's he going to do? Show up solo and face questions about where his wife is? Or skip his own games and watch from his Montecito mansion while eating organic quinoa? The sponsors are jumping ship faster than rats on a sinking Titanic. 3 major corporate sponsors reportedly pulled out after learning about the financial scrutiny. One representative said off the record, "There's too much baggage now. We can't risk being linked to a scandal that might blow up during the games." Translation: We're not touching this mess with a 10-foot pole covered in sanitizer. Now, let's talk about the Canadian situation. After the 2025 Games in Vancouver, Canadian organizers basically said, "Thanks, but no thanks" to future Sussex involvement. The Canadians, the politest people on earth, just gave Harry and Meghan the diplomatic equivalent of "don't let the door hit you on the way out." When Canadians are done with you, you know you've really stepped in it. The Canadian leadership issued a statement thanking those who put veterans above visibility. That's not just shade. That's a solar eclipse level of throwing shade. They basically said, "We want people who care about the cause, not people who use the cause to stay relevant." Games matter, but so does integrity. If Prince Harry won't explain where the money went, we may have to demand it ourselves. When politicians start asking where your money went, you know you're in deep trouble. It's like having your mom ask where all the cookies went when there are crumbs all over your shirt. The evidence is mounting, the questions are getting louder, and the silence is becoming deafening. The funniest part of all this? Harry wrote an entire autobiography called Spare, where he aired every piece of dirty laundry from his family's closet. The man shared details about frostbitten private parts and family arguments, but when it comes to explaining where £9.1 million went, suddenly, he's developed selective mutism. He'll tell you about every awkward conversation with his father, but won't explain basic financial accountability. You know what this reminds everyone of? Remember when your friend borrowed money and then avoided your calls? Except in this case, it's millions of pounds, and the friend is a prince who has a Netflix deal. The level of avoidance is almost impressive if it wasn't so disappointing. Here's what makes this whole situation even more ridiculous. Harry's silence is literally destroying the one thing everyone agreed he did right. The Invictus Games were his redemption story, his chance to prove he could make a positive impact. Veterans loved him, the public supported the cause, and even his critics had to admit it was good work.
But now
it's turning into a cautionary tale about what happens when you prioritize personal brand over public service. The games that were supposed to be his legacy are becoming his liability. Veterans who once praised him are now questioning his motives. Sponsors who once lined up to support the cause are running for the hills. The irony is thicker than British fog. Harry left the royal family because he wanted privacy and independence from public scrutiny. But somehow, he's created more drama and public scrutiny than he ever faced as a working royal. At least when he was in the family, there were protocols, handlers, and systems in place to manage crises. Now he's got Hollywood publicists trying to spin a financial accountability issue into a privacy invasion. And poor Meghan, she's probably sitting in Montecito wondering how her husband's one successful project turned into another public relations nightmare. She married into the royal family thinking she'd get the fairy tale, left the royal family thinking she'd get the freedom, and now she's banned from her husband's own event. You can't make this stuff up. Legal experts are now suggesting that if donations or grants were used improperly under Harry's patronage, there could be civil consequences. Civil consequences. The man who once partied naked in Vegas might now face legal action over missing charity funds. From what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas to what happens with Invictus money needs to be explained to Parliament. The public has seen nonprofits dismantled for far less financial impropriety. Yet Harry remains silent, allowing doubt and speculation to fester like an untreated wound. Critics say this is his last chance to take responsibility before the legacy he once fought so hard to build collapses completely. So here we are, watching what was supposed to be a beautiful story about helping wounded veterans turn into a soap opera about missing money, banned wives, and fleeing sponsors. The Invictus Games were never meant to be a headline-grabbing circus. They were built for heroes by heroes. But today, that mission is clouded by unanswered questions and a prince who seems more interested in protecting his image than protecting the integrity of the movement he created. Will Harry finally break his silence and explain where the money went? Will Meghan accept her ban from the 2026 Games gracefully? Will the veterans get the answers and respect they deserve? Will anyone ever find those £9.1 million? The clock is ticking, the pressure is mounting, and the world is watching. Because if Prince Harry truly believes in the Invictus legacy, now is the time to prove it. The veterans deserve answers, the donors deserve accountability, and the public deserves the truth. After all, the Invictus Games should never be about royalty. They should be about real warriors who've earned our respect, not our suspicion.